Welcome back to another episode of the Young Entrepreneurs Network podcast. We've got our first female guest on, which we're super excited about. We've got Chloe Doyle on. We're going to be otherwise known as the Chatty Freelancer, which you're going to be seeing a lot of, a lot of chattiness.
Yeah.
You know, Chloe's someone that I've worked with for a year and a half, nearly 2 years.
2 years nearly, November.
In the world of young and lazy. In business, I've seen her grow massively to where she's at just now, where she's a fully booked graphic designer. She works with some top tier clients, and I thought it was a no-brainer to get her on, tell her story, tell her journey, and provide a shit ton of value, because there's so many, see the amount of messages I get from, like, not even necessarily messages, but engagement from graphic designers that are trying to find their first few clients, get over those hurdles. And like finding your first few clients as well, it's, don't know if the term's like universal, but it's transparent across all. Like, finding your first few clients is the same for any business.
Yes.
So it'd be awesome for us to unravel some of that. But let's start. Thank you, firstly, for obviously coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start at the beginning of the journey then, because when I met you, you were at uni. You know, very much wanting to get things lined up for when you finish uni, which was a very unique mindset towards business as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll start there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so like you said, I was at uni. That's where I met yourself, your good self, was actually through my dissertation project, because I'd always kind of really enjoyed the realm of entrepreneurship, and I always wanted to learn more about it. So that's why I did it for my dissertation, and then that's why I reached out to you, because obviously you were kind of at the we at the beginning of it was very early days. So I think we were both really enthusiastic, and I remember our first call and we were like, oh, we think the same. Like, oh my god. I did two, so just go back a wee bit, I did 2 years in digital media, and then I did 2 years in digital design. But prior to that, I'd went to college, didn't really find what I wanted to, and then I came out, and then I worked for like a few years in like hospitality, got a couple of jobs in finance. I don't know why, I'm shite at maths. And then I kind of found my love for design again, and just started like my own little shop. To, again, coming back to entrepreneurship, I've always had it in me a little bit, but I started drawing people as Hogwarts students.
Wow.
Folk fucking love Harry Potter, John.
I'm not surprised, to be fair.
So I started doing it digitally, and I was like, really love this digital stuff. And then I was like, I'm going to go back to college. So I went back to college, went to university, found again my love for entrepreneurship. And at that time, I was doing a lot of things, like just, you know me, put my fingers in all the pies. So I was doing I was running an Etsy shop. So that was kind of like my creative outlet whilst I was also at studying. And I was doing like prints, like typography prints, really enjoying it. I made notepads as well, like I was trying that out. And just like building a community online as well, and getting myself out there on Instagram, and just, doing things that really interested me. But I did also feel quite sort of lost and overwhelmed. But the uni course anyway, really helped me to narrow down what kind of design that I really liked. And that was sort of branding and social media, and also just like graphic design in general. I absolutely loved it. And then I mean, I just managed to find my first freelance client whilst I was at university, but I'm sure we'll get into that. And then I graduated last year in June, which was exciting, and then I just went crazy full-time into freelance.
Seems like fucking miles, like I was going to say miles ago, don't know how to say enough phrase, but it feels like ages, like since, because we started working together like October of 2021, like leading into like you finishing your first year, your last year, sorry.
Yeah.
And like thinking about the challenges kind of back then, is there anything that's kind of front of mind that you were like, the challenges you were going through that you found solutions to, and what they were? Yeah,
so in terms of like, I guess, being an entrepreneurial person, the challenges were like, there was no one really in my class that was the same as me. And I was really struggling to like nurture that entrepreneurial mindset, because there's only so much that, I mean, respect to my lecturers, I love my lecturers so much, and there is a massive business hub in the Glasgow Caledonian University, which is where I was. But for me, it felt kind of outdated and still really quite like, what's the word, traditional business sense. It wasn't like youthful. I just felt kind of, I don't know, it just felt a bit regimented.
Yeah.
Whereas when I met you, I was like, my eyes were totally open to like, oh my God, there are other people like me who want to do this as well. And we help each other get through barriers, and that kind of was a massive catalyst to me actually becoming an entrepreneur completely as well. But yeah, that for sure was a challenge, was just finding that community of like-minded individuals who were actually able to understand me and help me. So yeah, that was all. Did it you, John? Good.
Take the credit, man. I just paled before she hopped on.
I mean, I've got a coffee down there. That was definitely John that bought me that.
But I guess running back then to some of those kind of initial challenges, because I know there'll be a lot of, whether it's designers or just early door entrepreneurs.
Yes.
What are some of the ones that you kind of overcame, I guess, in those like early stages where even like balancing uni and wanting to do it, obviously like you said, wanting to nurture that entrepreneurial like mindset. Is there any challenges that kind of step out that are very clear to you? Yeah.
So I guess just, I mean, there's so many challenges. I'm like imposter syndrome, comfort zones, like finding my first client and like actually like doing the thing was really, really difficult. And I kind of, I don't like to put things down to luck, because there's actually no such thing as luck whatsoever. But I kind of fell naturally into my first client, but prior to that, the challenges were just like being seen and being visible was really hard for me to like put myself out there, because the only way I was going to find work as a designer, as an entrepreneur, was to make myself known that, this is what I do, this is what I can do. So putting myself out there was definitely a challenge as well. But again, like just pushing through and being consistent and like putting myself in those uncomfortable positions kind of led me naturally to getting my first client, which I was able to do part-time whilst I was at university. So
that's incredible, man.
Yeah.
So I guess from an imposter syndrome aspect, like how did you overcome that?
How to overcome imposter syndrome? Oh my days. I think accountability is a massive thing. And also, do you know what? I think working in hospitality before I went back to university actually had like a massive impact in like how much I would push myself, strangely, because I was really had to be really responsible in hospitality. So that was like kind of looking back when I was starting freelancing, I was like, I'm really responsible for this. And I kind of leaned on my skills that I learned in hospitality to like push myself and be like, imposter syndrome, right, okay, Chloe, like you're the only person who can make this happen. Like literally the only person who can make this happen. You can network, speak to people and all that, but it's up to you to take action and to push through. Also getting comfortable with showing my face online. I remember when I had my Etsy shop, this was like just before I found my first client. I was like, okay, I need to show my face. I need to show my face on Instagram. It was terrifying because I was like, I need to go on my stories and I need to talk about it. See, just talking to people, and something that actually stuck with me as well, total tangent, but like, speaking directly to people and saying like, you. Like when you're on your stories or on your reels or whatever it is, like you're speaking to a person and that is your customer. And at that time was Etsy shop stuff. So it was like, who wants to buy my prints sort of thing. But I really just, I guess I just said to myself, like, look, if you want to make this shit happen, you need to be visible and present. And as a woman as well, that's really hard because imposter syndrome was rife. But yeah, just showing my face on social media definitely broke down the imposter syndrome sort of barrier for sure. Because
you're building confidence, I guess. Like it's mad because it's something as well where you kind of, I used to think it was gaming. It was like every game that you played reinforced how good you were or like how much better you were getting because you had a scoreboard. And it's almost like with social media, each post that you upload, you actually care less and less.
Yeah, literally.
Because I know like, I know there's a lot of it. I have regular conversations with individuals that want to, because personal brand is one of those things that's free, but it's the biggest mental challenge to overcome. And the thing is, like we've spoken about many times, there's 101 ways to skin a cat, where you can generate clients through paid ads, cold outreach, warm outreach, SEO, fucking content. And it's like that content one is like pretty much free for you to just do if you just want to like dive into it, but it's the biggest mental block because you're all the judgment that you feel like you're going to get leading up to it.
Especially as a designer, because there is so, I mean, I don't like to label it as competition, but there is a lot of other designers doing this, trying to find clients as well. So it's very saturated, right? But comparison is like the thief of joy. So like you need to break through that as well, because you need to look at other people's work as inspiration, as motivation to guide you into what you want to do, because it's so easy to compare yourself as a designer when you're on Instagram, especially because it's so visual. You're seeing all these amazing designs and you're seeing other people working for clients and you're like, oh my God, I wish I was doing that. I could never do that. Yeah. But it's like you're unique and, you know, your work will suit someone. So don't concentrate too much on what everyone else is doing and just post a thing. So that's what I started to do. Post a thing. It doesn't matter if it was shite or if it was good or whatever it was, as long as I was being present. And that was like, that led me to being seen. Yeah.
And because that's what I was going to ask. I was like, how did you actually start to stand out? Was it just actually just fucking doing it and just getting stuff out there? Because I feel like when it's weird, man, because see when you're not a designer but you're looking for a designer, you're kind of just looking for, like you said, that kind of, it's like a jigsaw piece. You're looking for the perfect piece that slots into your puzzle that's like, they can do the fucking thing that I want to make happen. Like they can make like what is up here like an actual reality. Was that something that you thought about? And like if so, like how did you, I guess, like start to, like did you just start to attract more individuals that seen you as that jigsaw piece that would fit perfectly in the puzzle?
Yeah, absolutely. Like even taking it right back to when I was in the small business community, that was during lockdown. So a lot of people started online businesses and selling art and trinkets and design crafts or whatever. So I really cemented myself into that when I had my Etsy shop. And I was attracting other small businesses who needed branding. And like I did a couple of branding projects for like really small businesses that were just starting out, because I was starting out as well. I didn't have to charge loads like that. Like you can't just start charging £350 a day. Like you need to start small and helping smaller businesses. There's no shame in that whatsoever. So I was like, absolutely, I'll do your small branding project for you. And I was making logos for like jewelry shops, like online jewelry shops and things like that. And that really opened the floodgates for me for even just branding and then passion projects as well. Like we're like, They were really, really powerful because I started doing these things off my own back. It wasn't for anyone. Started making prints because I wanted to. And then someone sees that and they go, I really love your style. Oh, wow. Could you implement that into a brand? Sure thing. Sure fucking thing. I will do that for you.
Because I remember speaking to Jude about this when he was... Because you kind of came into Jude's business, like Jude Fredman, who spoke about a good couple of times, that you kind of came in and you almost became the kind of head of managing the other editors and setting the bar and the standard. And I remember speaking to Jude about this when I smoked him at ping pong. Hopefully he watches this. And it was one of the things that we noticed, it was like with yourself, is like you just fucking love it, man. Like you just love the game. Like you actually, like all the things you just said just reinforced that so heavily, where I think with Judy, I think he was trying to maybe bring in some guys that just didn't love the game, that were just wanted, like you said, wanted to get to the £350 a day, £500 a day, wanted to just get there as fast as possible. When in fact, like through loving the game, you actually just get there anyways. Because like when I think about your work, we spoke about it a good few times, it's like your standard of not only like the work and design is exceptional, but it's all the other stuff around about it that you actually get through putting in the reps. And you're saying about hospitality too. It's like managing expectations, communication, like all reliability, all those things. When you think about a graphic designer, my first thought is that they lack those things.
Interesting. Okay.
But when I worked with you, it wasn't that. Like you were on like everything you set deadline wise was complete ahead of time, and to the standard that you completed them. Like think about how little changes we made to Young and Lazy when we rebranded it. I had like fucking zero, and it's a weird thing because you want to allow the creative mind to expand. I always had that philosophy and thought process. Like even if I worked with Jude or whoever it was, if it was with yourself, it was like whatever you think is best. And it's like to have that trust in someone comes from those other components. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah. No, totally agree. Like that's, I mean, if you go on my website, it's literally like one of the first things that I say is like, if you're looking for a reliable designer who is an upbeat collaborator, then you found the right person. Because I pride myself in under promising and over delivering. Like that's a huge thing to just, as you say, for people to trust you.
Yep.
And that is really important with client relationships, because then people will talk about you.
Yep.
And like, as you say, if you're struggling to find that, then there's obviously a need to improve, like an area for graphic designers to improve where they are more reliable. But then I sometimes think, is that because there's some certain stigma surrounding freelance designers that maybe, you know, they take the piss a little bit, they're a bit unreliable, blah, blah, blah. So that overshadows the people like myself who are really good at what they do, also very good communicator, are reliable. And that's something that I'm really passionate about, as you know, is like, you know, helping people get to that point and also helping people that are at that point be visible and link them up with people like you. Yeah,
because I think that that's one thing that when I think about why you're fully booked, that's like the catalyst. Like for me, like I think I like the quote unquote like stigma, I think naturally actually comes from maybe a couple of shitty experiences leading up to it, where it's, but the mad thing is as well, it's that whole like money is commitment aspect too, where it's like designers I've worked with that are cheap as chips. It's like, can you really have the expectation that they're going to have all of those things figured out as well?
Yeah.
Because you're like, and also with the less commitment on the table, you feel less, you feel like you have less rights to actually like convey to them like, look man, I need this done by X time, and if it's not done by X time, then I'm kind of fucked. And it's, you don't, it's like, people want the, it's mad because on the other end, people wanting graphic designers, they want the best of both worlds. So they want a class designer but for cheap. And it's like,
that's not gonna
in
happen.
graphic design, what I've realised from working with yourself is that like, all the things that we've just outlined, like, increase the value like fucking dramatically, where it's like when you know that something can get done in a certain time frame to the exact fucking nuance that you look for, as opposed to, say I work with you for 2 weeks and I work with another designer that's maybe 6 weeks but it's much cheaper, but it's like a lot of back and forth, a lot of deadlines not being met. It's like why would you not just choose the 2 weeks with yourself?
Yes. And
I think that's, I think like from an outside perspective looking in, like that I think is the path of what's led you to being like fully booked for the rest of the year, for example. You don't need any more clients.
Yes.
Do you see it the same way, or do you think there's other factors as well that come into it?
No, I definitely think I see it the same way. I also think though, I think from my experience and from hearing from other designers, a lot of clients don't understand 100% the value. They don't have a Scooby-Doo. They just want, as you say, something cheap, and then they want it done in 2 weeks. Sorry guys, anyone listening, any potential clients who are thinking about hiring a designer for very cheap and want it done in a quick turnaround, that's really shite. That's a really bad reflection on the design community. It's only hurting other designers. Like, see for instance, like things like Fiverr, hate it. Fiverr serves clients, doesn't serve designers at all whatsoever. It's so, I hate it so much because it's just devaluing design completely. So things like that, yes, I think have an effect on that. So it's like, yeah, I think we just need to be really sort of aware of what's going on, and communication. It comes back to communication. Literally. A client needs to communicate their desires and needs to a designer needs to say, these are my boundaries, these are my terms as well. And I think, I just think there needs to be a better understanding of the value of design, if I'm going to be completely honest.
There's a couple of questions that lead into this. One, like how you've generated enough conviction to be willing to charge more, like what are the factors leading up to that, but also just to reinforce like the communication and managing of expectations, I think is a huge thing for not fucking just saying yes to whatever falls on somebody's lap. It's like any business, not just design, it's like in the beginning you just want anything you can get your hands on to just like fucking do. And if I think about, like, I think it was at the end of last year, we wanted you to do some editing for us for some videos, and your turnaround time was going to be 4 weeks, but we needed it pretty much like after a week. And it was like, if you just said to us like, yeah man, I can just do that, but it's, yeah, I mean, I'll try and get it done for a week. And then it takes 4 weeks. It's like, that is like fucking, I think that's where there's so much like overcommitting.
Yeah. And I was guilty of that. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've had to learn the hard way about that in terms of overcommitting. Like when I left uni, I overcommitted completely to the point where I had to let people down because I was so worried that I wasn't going to have work. Like I was like, oh my God. I'm leaving uni, I need to go full-time. Well, I don't need to go full-time freelancing, right? I wanted to do it. And I didn't want to get a job. I loved freelancing so much because I was doing it part-time whilst I was at uni, and I was like, can I make this work full-time when I leave? just say yes to everything when you leave, overcommit. And then I had a fucking mini kind of shite time, and felt really bad because I let people down because I'm a massive people pleaser as well. And I was always saying yes to things, you know that very well. I was saying yes to things a lot, whereas see now, very happy to say no to people that are coming to me, or just communicating honestly. I think that's what it comes down to, is just like being honest with yourself and also with the person that's reaching out to you as well, and being like, I can do this, but it's going to take me this amount of time. And it's okay for you to come back and say, do you know what, Chloe, we actually need it quicker than that, but thanks anyway. And then you can say to me, do you know anyone? It's free. And then that way I can pass you on and give someone else work.
Literally.
It just comes down to honesty all the time.
How did you like develop that mindset?
Oh, Jesus. Experiencing the repercussions of not doing that, and understanding that it's just detrimental to my progress as a freelancer, as my progress of my business, of my personal growth as well, if I'm totally just overcommitting. And don't get me wrong, I am in a really, really good position now where I can say no. Not a lot of people, freelancers, can say no to clients. They have to take on this work. So I don't know. I think it is just experiencing the downfalls of doing that.
It's crazy, man, because like pain is like the biggest changer of like when we think about most of the decisions we make, it's based off the fact that we felt some sort of like fucking pain. It's like we don't want to feel that ever again. And I think from a people pleasing aspect, very much letting people down. I remember I had this conversation with Betsy a good couple of times too, where it's just like if you overcommit to something, the reality is like every decision you make has consequences if you do not follow through on it. And the repercussions of you not delivering on said promise are deserved. And it's, see, when you realise that, you're like, fuck, man, like they actually do deserve to fucking, like, for somebody to be mad at me because I overpromised. Like, that is on fucking me. And when you start to take that ownership, you start to realise that you can control it by just ensuring a couple of steps beforehand that you actually manage expectations properly. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what I would say is like definitely just analyse each project and the sort of realities of you completing that project in a set amount of time. And I will always advise to under promise and over deliver, because as you say, like that's like the amount of times clients have got back to me and I've done that and I'm like, fucking hell, Chloe, thank you so much for getting this to me. They think it's early. Like, this is a wee cheat actually, I don't know if I should say this, but they think it's early, but really I have projected the project for that time. Yeah. And they think it's early, but really I've just like that's the real time scale for me. But for them, it's a little bit longer, just so I can, like, that's a nice wee tip, and that's just honest truth. Like 100%. That's what I do.
100%, because it makes it. I think what other people don't realize too, they overpromise because they don't realize that a negotiation is negotiable. Like it's not fucking. This is the price. This is the time frame. Yes or no. It's like man, I don't know about that. You know, I could probably like. Could you make it in 3 weeks instead of 4 weeks? And it's like, well, probably could, but it would need maybe like a little bit extra on top. Yeah, cool. Like I think people look at it as a black or white. You present a proposal to someone and they just go yes, or they go no, and you never speak to them again. It's like somewhere in between. And I think that's something that we talk about it also within YNL a lot, like screening for success, like ensuring that you're only bringing on clients that you're going to be successful with, so that you actually have positive word of mouth and all that shit compounds.
And that kind of help, like being what I was talking about earlier, that visibility and that putting passion projects out there, your work out there, your personal brand, your personality, putting things out there, you're naturally going to pull in people who are similar to you in value, align with you, you know, collaboration wise, it's going to be more of a unison. Like I've always say, like my way I work isn't transactional. Yeah. It's a collaboration, right? You've got needs as a business owner, and you know, I've got the sort of skills to deliver and bring those needs to life. It's a collaboration. It's never one-sided ever. Like you need to, and that's where you can build those nurturing relationships, and like, you know, people talk highly of you, positively of you, and it all works together. It is a bit, it sounds like a minefield, but it is really, do you know what, it's as simple as giving a shit about what you do, showing people that you give a shit about what you do, delivering what you say you're going to deliver. Like, really, that's that's as simple as that.
I would agree, because I was going to say, like, there's I think there's people overcomplicate it with all the nuanced stuff in between, but it's like when you break it down to those three areas, it's like just always doing what you say you're going to do. And it's like the nuanced stuff between that is like managing expectations beforehand, like during the actual process of working with them, fucking communicate, and then actually making sure that they know that you're still working. Like, honestly, man, the majority of like businesses' problems when it comes to retention come from the fact that clients don't fucking know the roadmap or the timeline, or like they have a rough kind of timeline, but it's like they set a timeline for 4 weeks, and then like 3 weeks in, the client's like, I've not heard from Bob like since I fucking paid him. And it's like, and then they message him and it's like, Bob, what's happening? And then Bob comes out, it's like, oh yeah, no, I've been working on it, it's nearly finished. And then you're just like, what like, what the fuck?
That's a massive thing. Like, I pride myself in like updating your clients every week, even if you haven't done a lot, even just saying like I think that's something that I do quite well, and I think would advise any potential like aspiring freelancers or graphic designers to practice, is just talking to, I voice note my clients. Do you know what I mean? Just to say, hiya, how are you doing? Just to let you know, like, I'll be working this day this week, and I'll also be doing XYZ, just to kind of keep them in the loop. Because as you say, you know, if you don't know what's going on, you do start to worry, like, have they just ran away with my money? Are they actually going to deliver what I've asked? Like, it's funny, my partner, I don't think he'll mind me saying, but he has similar experience with artists that he's working with now. Hadn't heard from them in quite a while, and I was like, you need to like reach out to them. You need to ask what's going on. And he was like, oh right, okay. Did it, go back to him like, oh yeah, like I've done loads. Why haven't I seen any of it? Why haven't I think as well, like, feedback is so important, and like getting you involved in the process. I think clients fucking love that shit. I mean, maybe some clients don't, and they're just, because they're so busy, they just want to like have it done. But like, I love getting my clients involved and like, what do you think about this? Do you like this? This is, you know, and having conviction in what you've done as well, and not kind of fluffing it up and being sort of like talking it down. I think a lot of designers can have imposter syndrome about that when they send work to a client, like, oh, and they can maybe kind of unconsciously maybe speak a bit negatively about it, whereas if you go in and be like, this is the design I've done, this is why I think it's going to be good for your brand, and this is the positives of it, let me know what you think. Like, that also comes with practice. I was never like that. I used to be like, what do you think about that? What do you think? It's okay if you don't like it. That a wee bit, but, you know, I kind of want to But like, I think if clients hear you be positive about it, and it's just communication about the purposeful design. You're doing it. You're thinking about your client all the time, and it's just showing them like, this is what I've done for you. This is why I've done it this way. This is how it's going to help your brand. And then usually they're like 9 times out of 10, like, oh wow, I really understand what you've done there. Because sometimes if you just send it and don't like, explain it, they're just going to be a bit like, what?
It's like the managing, once again, like you said, managing expectations, like that to a T, and just I consistently, like, I think bringing them, like you said, bringing them on the journey, like with you, of like actually building it. Like, if you're super passionate about it, people can't help but be infected like by that, where it's like, holy shit, fucking hell.
A good example of that is because I think it'll be really useful for people to know that how I got one of my retainer clients, one of my really good retainer clients that I got at the start of the year. So I worked 2 set days with them. They're called Social Shifters. They're fucking brilliant, amazing charity. But I did a uni brief with them. And because I was showing how passionate I was, how much I loved that brief, and like the work that I was doing, they were like, this is amazing, we absolutely love it. You know, to the point where they asked me to be a campus ambassador, and I was doing things out of design, you know, again, helping me with my confidence and communication. Shit myself to do that. I had to speak in front of a camera. never done that before. So I was like, I'll just give it a go. But they remembered that.
Yeah.
And like 6 months, like no, actually it was more than 6 months later. I remember like just like a year and a bit later, they got back in contact with me and were like, we really love working with you on that uni project. We love the ideas that you brought to the brand. Like, we just think that you're a great representation of like what we do.
Yeah.
Like, would you consider like working with us for this year's challenge? And I'm still there, still doing the work. And that's a retainer I've had since January.
Yeah.
And it's a very comfortable retainer.
Yeah.
But that came from me being really passionate and like just showing my infectious energy for the project as well. And I'm not going to say that's going to be the same for every project you do. There might be projects that you just do it because you need the money. And that's just the reality of it as well.
Because I think that's where, like, on the topic of like the social shifters aspect, like I think people struggle to comprehend that there's someone that could actually be more passionate about a design for the business than themselves. So like when you meet somebody that is, it's like it feels like a mutual benefit. Like you said, it's like it feels like you're both on the same side of the table looking over something and working together on it, as opposed to, like you said, just a transactional shit. And I think that's where, once again, over delivering on that aspect, like you do that all the time, where it's like, I was sitting last night, I was working on this till like 11 o'clock at night. I fucking love it. I'm obsessed over this, John. Can you look at it today? So I can get it, and then so I can start working on it again today. And you're like, what the fuck, man? Like, this woman actually like loves what I do.
Yeah.
Loves the brand that she's designed for us. Potentially even fucking more than what we do. And it just makes you, when you work with someone that doesn't have that, you notice it. So it's like one of those things that, like, until you experience it, you don't know that it exists. Obviously, you don't know what you don't know. But when you experience it, you realise, I wouldn't really want it to be any other way. Which, once again, retention for yourself, word of mouth, like all of those things will just compound heavily.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How, I mean, it's pretty obvious how you've worked on that, to be fair. Just like fucking loving the game, like you said, doing all those passion projects.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any valuable advice for either our designers or startups that are, I guess, they do love what they do, but maybe they feel a bit shy in communicating it, or they do communicate it, but maybe they don't get it received as well? Any thoughts on that?
Interesting question. If you're not receiving the same level of communication you're putting in, that's not a person you want to work with.
Yes.
You need to find someone else. To be able to get to the point where you're a bit more confident, speak to people who are in a position that you want to be in. And they, like, accountability. I always come back to accountability. And like that was huge for me in terms of confidence, like, you know, putting myself in those uncomfortable positions, but I was being held accountable for it. So yeah, I think to combat, I mean, that's the thing as well, like, it's okay to be shy. There's people who are just naturally shy. That's fine. But as long as you're communicating well, like, you don't need to be completely extroverted. You don't need to be all of that. As long as you're delivering something really, really good, and as you say, really passionate about it, then you're Gucci. But like, I think social media has a lot to answer for this. It's like people feel like they have to be present on social media to gain clients, and there is a bit of truth into that nowadays. That's the reality of it. But no, for people who are maybe struggling with confidence or are a bit shyer in terms of showing their work or communicating with people, practice and accountability. Like that's what really helped me. Anyway.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Obviously, you kind of spoke about social shifters as one of your clients. One of the things that we want to unravel too is that you're looking at a bigger client that you've been working with for quite some time. You've been on a fucking crazy trajectory. It was mad, right? I've been working with Chloe for like a year, and I didn't even know that she was working with someone of like Joe's stature, like in terms of like followings and like how you'd actually helped her like scale. It's just because you're very humble. You just don't.
Honestly, I think when you're in something for so long, you cannot see the wood for the trees. Is that the phrase?
Yes, it was something along those lines.
That's right. You cannot, because you're so in it, and you're just like, and then until you actually brought it to my attention, I was like, fucking hell, actually, yeah, I helped her get to that point. And I should use that. I need to talk more about that case study, because it's a brilliant case study. That's another thing. Get your case studies together to show results. I don't do that enough. But Joe, so kind of going right back to, she was my first ever proper retainer client. And when I was doing the Etsy shop and all that stuff, she reached out to me and was like, hi, Chloe, would love to commission you to do some planners for my business. So just to give context, Jo is a fitness and lifestyle influencer. She's called Grow with Jo. She has YouTube now and all this mad stuff. Like, she does fucking mad bits. Like, she's actually insane. International client. She lives in Florida. And I went on her page and I was like, a bit like, are you actually asking me to do this? Because I was like, at that point she had like 500,000 followers, so she was really quite established, and I was like, yeah, I can do that for you. Yes, where can I start? So I did that for her. They absolutely loved it. At that point, I want to show how kind of big her brand's got, right? So at that point I was texting her back and forth about these planners, made the planners fantastic, brilliant, worked out. She then commissioned me to do something else. And I was working at 3 Mobile part-time at the time. And it was getting kind of get a lot to balance with uni as well. So it got to a point where she was asking me for regular commissions, and I was like, right, I'm just going to fucking ask her if she wants me to be her part-time graphic designer freelance, because I can't do all this. So it was actually someone I spoke to in 3 Mobile, because obviously I had just started and I felt really guilty. I was like, this has all happened at once. I'm really sorry. But they were like, Chloe, do it. Ask her the question. Asked her the question. I was like, would you consider me being like a retainer graphic designer for your business? I can help you out in other areas. And then she messaged me back being like, I thought you would never ask. And I was like, because at the time I was like, oh God, what if she says no and then it ruins the relationship and she never asks me for another piece of work. But they were at a point where they were really wanting to put everything into this Grow with Jo brand, and they needed a designer. So on I came 1 day a week, and I was doing, I think at that point I was £800 a month. Maybe less than that. I can't really remember. It's quite a while ago, but it was like November 2020, so it's like nearly 3 years ago now. Wow. What the fuck? So it wasn't a big retainer. It was, actually I think it was way less than £800, but basically it was 500, that was it. And I was doing social media, I was doing calendars, I was doing Pinterest posts, I was doing whatever they needed, right? And I was really, their brand was sort of, not where it is obviously now, but their brand was like still kind of maybe early, not right at the beginning, but still early days. So still trying to find their tone of voice and, you know, their sort of style. And I was really influential in that because I was doing wee bits here and there. Loved it. And then obviously her team was growing. She, you know, was, and that, like her business was growing, so that required me to do more stuff. So I actually went out my way and did she basically decided to give YouTube her all. So she grew from 250,000 followers to now she's over 4 million. Wow. And that's mental.
I checked last night, she's at 4.84.
What the fuck?
That was fuck.
Mental, but they have like the most amazing like drive for this. Like I've never seen anything like it. And I've been on that journey with them ever since. But like, you know, I did a video for them because I was like, right, okay, they're starting this YouTube thing. At this point, they were growing a little bit, and I was like, really enjoying video editing. I'm just gonna make a video of my own bag and show them it. Made this YouTube promo video, and then they got back to me and they were like, Chloe, what the fuck? Like, we didn't know you could do this. And I was like, neither did I. But I've always loved like making videos and whatnot. So I tried it, and they were like, we need you to be doing more of that. So I started doing like video editing for them as well. So I was really exploring like loads of different design disciplines in that brand, which was so much fun. And then, basically they've been growing and growing and growing. Their team's expanded to the point where I don't even have any communication with Jo anymore. Wow. So think about that. At the beginning, I was texting her. Yeah. And now I don't even speak to her. But that's how, that represents how efficiently she's running her business now. Yeah. Like, I basically just I make social media content for her. I also do her campaign visuals for her every month, which I really enjoy. Like, I love doing campaign visuals for clients. I think it's really fun. And also, I've now started to delegate some of that work to another freelancer.
Amazing.
Which is crazy. But like, and it's a really nice retainer to have. It's a lovely brand to work with. Like, it's, you know, just female empowerment. Like, it's a beautiful brand to work with. And it's a very reliable client, and I will just say that because I can trust that they're not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah.
Like, they are doing so much. Like, she's now got an app. Grow with Jo app. She's got the YouTube, and her social medias are just blowing up.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be a need for a designer. But now, like, it's like I'm a small cog in that wheel now, whereas at the beginning I was quite a big cog in that wheel, which is crazy to think.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know, it's so strange. But it's like, it's very nice. I feel very proud that I've helped her do that and been like a massive, like a contributor towards her growth. And I still am doing my part. But it's like much more efficient now. Like at the beginning it was a bit like, oh, we're all kind of trying things here. We're just kind of, but now there's like, you know, I work from a spreadsheet. Well, Carolina does now because she does the work for me now. Social media spreadsheet. So it's like 5 posts a week that we need to content. It's like content creation design, which is great because it's like so, like it's so quick and efficient, and you know the brand inside and out. So yeah, that's a perfect example of a learning. Like, I'm very, I keep going back to being saying I'm very lucky, but like I'm not lucky because I was passionate about her brand, and I made that very, very apparent.
You earned it.
So I earned it, and now it's like I'm so quick at what I do. So it's like I earn more, work less with that client because it's great. I love working for that client.
Would you have any advice for, I guess, designers that want to be part of? Because I feel like most designers, and I'll finish that question, I feel like most designers are just working like smaller businesses and they don't even know how to get up to that next level. And I think a lot of people, no matter whether you're a designer or you're a marketer or like whatever like field you're in, graphic design kind of comes under marketing, but like, I guess like what would be your advice to those that want to go up to that next level where they want to work with maybe bigger brands, how they could approach it, what it could kind of look like? Have you got any thoughts on that?
Oh, interesting. I find this difficult to answer because if I was to like approach Jo now at the point that she's at, I would be terrified.
Yeah. But
I started when she wasn't as, I mean, she was still big, but she wasn't like huge. But like if I was to, bigger clients, I think being a bit ballsy like I was and just making yourself known, because brands fucking love. See, if you contact a brand and be like, I love what you do, this is my services. If you don't have any work, like, do you have any work for me? Could I get involved? And if, they don't at that point in time, they remember who you are. And, speaking with other freelancers, that's been a really key point in like gaining those clients, is just making yourself known to them. Because it comes back to, like you say, if you show how passionate you are about someone else's brand, they're going to remember, and they'll love that shit. Like, they love 100%. It. Because they're like, oh, like this person would probably do really good work for us because they are really keen to work with us. Yeah. So don't be afraid, and just making yourself known and reaching out and putting your stuff out there. I know people who have done like passion projects, like hypothetical passion projects for bigger brands, and that can lead to them seeing it and being like, oh my god, look what they can do for our brand. So it comes down to just being a bit, and I hate saying it, but being ballsy and just reaching out.
I would agree, because when I think about like Louis Binney was the other one that came to my mind, like working with huge YouTubers, man, like in like a YouTube space where like these people have got fucking like anywhere between like 1 mil to like 40 million subscribers, and he's like young guy at uni, fucking obsessed with like games, Minecraft, Pokemon, like just pure passion. That's just what Louis Binney is, and he gets in the door with those bigger brands, I believe, because of that. Like, because of that willingness to like, I love Pokemon more than you. Like, almost like it's like, I fucking love this shit. Yeah. Like, I will obsess over it, like, and you can feel it when he's talking about it.
Yes, but you also have to have the skill level that they're looking for.
Yes.
Can't be all passion, because you need to be able to, right, okay, I've got the passion for this. Right, how are you going to deliver the thing? You're like, I love your brand, and it's like, oh, I actually can't design. So you need to have the passion for it, and also the skill. And well, the willingness to learn the skills
Yes.
and to improve them as well. Like, I'm a way better designer now than what I was when I started working with Joe.
Yeah.
Like, night and day.
Yeah. And that natural like level of progression. Because if I think about Victor was who came to mind for me when we were talking with when Victor originally reached out to me, and I've spoken about it in the podcast already, but his outreach message was very much, I fucking love YNL. I love what you are doing. I would love to be part of it in the future. But right now, I'd actually love to help you grow your socials.
Perfect.
And it was like, fucking, like, this guy fucking loves my shit. And he's like, I know Nick Garrett, I know Connor Joss, I know Jack Carlin, like, I know all these guys, and they all know you, and I want to be part of it. But just started. So like, I just want to like get in the mix. And he was someone that like Victor will say it, like I would love to like a visual of like before Victor, like the first video he sent, man, which was horror. Like it was horror. He will agree with me. He will agree with me when he watches this to play some clips. Yeah. Horror compared to like now, where it's like, see when he sends me videos and I'm like, man, I can't believe you fucking done that, man. Like I'm like there was a video he sent me, it was like one where he brought in like Hermosi, where I spoke about like to charge higher prices, deliver more value before you give the price. And the more value you provide before you give the price, whether it's through strategy sessions, through displaying a portfolio, whatever it is, the more you display before the price, the more they believe that it's going to charge potentially more, as opposed to like you speak to someone for the first time, it's like, yeah man, I'm like $1,000 a month retainer, and it's like, well, I'm not actually seeing anything you do. I don't know the value you provide. I don't know, like, your first thought is like, fuck that. And I think like the video that he created for that, like as he sent me it, I was like, I forwarded it to Jack, Jamie, Andy. I was like, fucking watch this. Like, this is my brand. He was like, this is the shit he's creating. And it's like, probably I'll be noting that maybe something we've not touched on so much. Like, the feedback piece is like, Victor was very much like, just tell me how to get better. Like, just fucking tell me like what you potentially want or see. And it just got to a point where there was a ceiling where I had to bring like you and Jude in, where it was like, I don't know what it is, but this isn't quite right, and I don't know how to communicate it. And like Victor now to then is like fucking completely night and day, and it's because he was so open to feedback and willingness to improve.
That's huge. Like humility of just being like, I'm not at the point of this now yet, but I have the eagerness to do it. Like, you can have all the skills set in the world and be whatever, right? But if you don't have the willingness or the understanding to learn, and also be aware that maybe you just don't know something, or maybe you just don't know how to do something, or maybe you're just not as good as you want to be yet at something, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. And people will respond to that if you, like, I'm working with a student at the minute for the podcast, and like she's blowing me away with the stuff that she's doing. I can't pay her, sadly. That's just the reality. I can't pay her, sadly. But like, I'm hoping that using me as a sort of project case study is gonna help her grow her skill set and also get better. Like, she was so nervous to send me examples of what she had done. They're not very good. And I was like, she sent me them and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, it blew my mind, like what you've just done. So yeah, I guess don't underestimate your skills as well. But also don't, be conscious that you can improve always.
I think you convey that well, because it's like you've got to a stage where like, you've done it for years. You've worked with, like, there's social proof, and like when we think about that quote from Hermosi, it's like confidence is built up based on everything you've done behind you that you know you've fucking done. Like, that's stacked up for you now, but you're able to balance that with the, like, man, I'm open to any feedback, by the way. Like, of like how to implement certain things. I'm a whore for feedback. Like, I fucking love that shit. Like, I think that's why me and Jude work so well together. Because he was always like, wait, I love how like open you are to just like feedback, and you also implement it really well. You can take feedback, but you also need to be able to like convey. And I think that's something I also kind of pride myself in, is sort of intuition and just taking initiative on things. Like, there were so many times where Jude would be like, God, I didn't even think about that, or like, thank you for taking initiative on that, for doing that. I didn't even need to tell you to do that. Like, that's brilliant. So just like kind of being like one head a step. We're getting a bit deep into the podcast now. It's like nearly an hour
One
in.
step ahead. One step ahead of your client whenever you can to anticipate, what they might need as well is really, really helpful. Really.
I think any value. I mean, we went through Alex Becker's like Iron program that was like for like high ticket offers, and see every single step I went through. It was like, for example, it shows his sales framework, and I'd be like, I would love to like see his scripts. Next video, going to show you his full script. I'm like, that's fucking brilliant. I'd love to.
He's got it sus.
I'd love to see maybe some recordings of him closing clients. Next video, there's 3 recordings of him closing clients. I'm like, what the fuck? And it's like, when someone's like a mind reader, I feel like, I don't know what it is about it, man, but it fucking hits different, man. So like, as opposed to like you said, if you use your intuition and you provide it to someone and they're like, holy shit, that was actually better than what I thought, like that I even processed as possible, I feel like that increase in value is just like mental. And as well, say you do it and they don't like it, it's cool, you just change it back.
Exactly. Exactly.
Man, such a good discussion. So obviously when it comes to where you're at just now, you made the decision you don't want to take on any more clients this year, fully booked, you're loving working with social shifters, you're loving working with Joe. I guess like what was the decision behind, like what was the thought process behind that decision? And I guess unraveling some of that.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, I've got a podcast as well. So the Chatty Freelancer is something that I started at the start of the year because I'm so passionate about freelancing and just honesty, vulnerability, authenticity, like about that whole world, because there's not enough of it, to be perfectly honest. So started the podcast just to give myself a creative outlet because, I love doing client work, but I also like designing for myself. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I can't be like, if I'm able to put myself in a position where I am able to do client work and also do stuff for me, happy days. So started the podcast earlier this year, but I've been doing both and trying to juggle both. And also like, there's still elements of me that is a yes woman, don't get me wrong. Like there'll be times people come to me with a project and I'm like, okay, I need to not say yes. And then I'm like, oh, do you know, fuck it, I'll do it. And then I get myself overwhelmed because I'm overcommitting. I've been balancing actually. Do you know what? I've been balancing it well. I haven't been balancing it terrifically. But I've been doing my best over the summer because it's been really, really busy summer for me. So now I'm like, right, I finished up with the third client last week. I was like, okay, I don't technically need to say yes to anyone else for the rest of the year. I need time to work on my personal brand. Personal branding as a freelancer I cannot express this enough of how important it is for finding clients and just putting your personality out there, and it could lead to different things. The reason actually why Social Shifters got in contact with me as well was because I'd started a podcast and they wanted to as well. So they were like, we've seen that you do a podcast as well. Like, can you help us do our own? And I was like, absolutely. So that led me to doing that as well. So anyway, I have got myself in a really good position where I've got 2 retainer clients and can project what I'm earning for the rest of the year. And I can actually take some time to batch record for the podcast, improve my personal brand and the other things that I want to do. I want to be able to streamline things. I want to be a hub for entrepreneurs who need access to really good, reliable design. But I need time to do that. So that's what I'm doing for this year.
It's interesting because there was one point that you touched on, which was like it's like saying yes when you maybe like feel like you just shouldn't be, but you're like it's like you're thinking no and you're just like, yeah, fuck it. Fuck it. I love that. I want to be involved in that. And there's an aspect to that too where I guess what Taylor's been about this, it's like, see, only when you love it so much, like if you really want to do something, like you will make the time, whether it's working weekends, whether it's working in the evenings. It's like there's an aspect of like being willing to, because you love something as well. I think that's a big part too. It's like I do get it, but it's like if it's something like really fucking shit and you just don't want to do it, and you're at full capacity, like the odds stack up that you probably shouldn't fucking do it, regardless of how much they're paying. But there's also an aspect where it's like when a really good project comes in place where it's like you just really want to fucking do it, man. You can make the time to deliver on it as well. And I think having that kind of freedom to make either decision and know that, you know what, like I have this conversation with Andy all the time. It's like we've just done like a 6-week sprint where it's like I probably took like maybe like 1 or 2 days off. But I fucking love it, man.
Yeah. If you're feeling good, then what's the issue? But I will be honest, like I'm feeling a wee bit kind of working towards sort of feeling a bit burnt out.
Yeah.
Because I've been catching my tail. And like podcasting's a full-time job. Jesus Christ. Nobody told me that. So like I've been releasing an episode every week. And don't get me wrong, I fucking love it. It is, John, you see yesterday I went to that mentorship, right? I was like kind of like humbled because people would come up to me and they were like, are you the Chai freelancer? I was like, is that my name now? I was like, my name's Chloe, but yes, I am. Like, I was like, what the fuck? So like, people like, oh, it was actually mental. Like people were like, love your podcast. I listen to your podcast. I'm like, I don't even know that you listen to it. Like that's amazing. And they were like, I absolutely love it. It's great. That's such a motivator for me. And even though I'm feeling a wee bit burnt out with it and I'm catching my tail a little bit with it, like I record sometimes on a Monday, release the episode on a Friday. So I still need to edit the episode. Like I do everything. I need to edit it, record it, edit it, put it out there, promote it. Like it's so hard. But when I hear that,
it makes it worth it.
Oh my God. I'm like, do you know what? Fuck it. Let's have some burnout. No, I'm kidding. No.
2 episodes a week.
2 episodes a week. Jesus Christ. But again, I can look at that and say, do you know what? This is making an impact. I need to slow down. I need to stop. Have a break, because if I don't want to start resenting or not looking forward to doing it. So I've recognised that. And I'm like, right, let's slow down a little bit. Let's batch record over October, November, December. Come back in the new year. Fucking killing it. That's fine. I don't need to be going constantly. Because I think as a freelancer as well, you do feel like you have to carry that momentum because you're not going to find clients if you don't. Like that's really, and that's why I would say yes to things. Because I'd be like, if I don't say yes to this, I'm not going, oh my God, what happens if nothing comes up next month? And oh my God. Like it is really hard to navigate that and to balance that with, you know, recognising that, you know, I actually maybe need a bit of time out and just need to chill a wee bit. But when you're responsible for everything, it's so hard to say no. But I'm saying no for the rest of the year, guys. It's gonna be good, and I'm just gonna chill. I'm gonna enjoy winter. Test Chloe. I know. Line up her inbox. Hit her with some jobs. Let's actually put this to work. Hold me accountable, please, because no, I'm definitely doing it because I need to do it for myself and for my business. Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's like when you attach it to, it's like you're not saying no for the sake of it. Like you're not just saying no to like, just like you're resting and recharging, but with the. I say resting and recharging. You're resting and recharging and working on your personal brand for the sake of the future growth of the company and what you actually want to do. Whereas I feel like a lot of people make decisions just based off like a snapshot of how they feel, or like maybe, and like what you feel in the moment is important, but it's also like I've done that 6-week sprint because we want to hire Jack full time, and when it comes to wanting to hire Jack full time, that is something that is not only so fucking important to me, but it's important to him. And if that means that we set specific metrics to hit and we're very close to hitting them, then I'm going to do anything I fucking can to hit that. So when I do hit it, it's like, cool, I fucking hit that. It's done. Okay, I got to Spain on Friday. I'm going to take some days off. Some days off. Some days off to recharge. But it's also like loving the game too. Like when you just love it and you're obsessed with it and you... Oh my God, yeah. Especially podcasting. Like I get to meet people, new people, different people, learn about them, put their voices out there and like motivate, inspire. Like that's like... If I could just do that for the rest of my life, I'd be more than happy. And people ask me as well, oh, do you like someone asked me last night, like, oh, are you going to make money from the podcast? Is that your plan to like monetize it? And I was like, no. I actually don't give a fuck about that. Like, I just love doing it. And I just love, like, people, like, after it, and they'll listen back to the episode that they're recording and go, I said that. I did that. I was like, yes, you did. It's a confidence builder as well. And that's what I hope the podcast to be, is like a place for people who are just starting out. if they want to push themselves outside their comfort zone, I would be more than happy for them to come on the podcast and talk about themselves and what they want to do. More than happy to do that. So that's kind of where I see the podcast going. It's like a sort of inclusive space, approachable space for people to talk honestly about where they are. Because I feel like a lot of podcasts concentrate too much on the final part of your journey when you reflect on 10 years of your life. No, what's happening now? I want to know what's happening now. I want to speak to people who are just starting out freelancing or who are thinking about going freelancing and like what their pain points are and what they want to do. Like, I think that's so refreshing and insightful. So yeah, that's kind of where I see the podcast. I'm very passionate about the podcast. If you couldn't tell, I love it.
Passionate about anything to do with freelance.
Passionate about it. Yeah, well, yeah, it's so important.
It sells.
It sells. It does. Passion and personality. A bit of alliteration for you. Passion and personality. That's literally you'll be golden if you can practice both of those things.
100%. There's one thing that we kind of brushed over, which is that you're doing a mentorship.
Yes.
What's the I guess you're doing it with your old uni.
Yes.
You're like, I guess, unravel some of it, like full circle moment obviously for you as well.
Big time. Yeah. So I did some workshops last year actually with uni, which was amazing. I was like so grateful that they asked me to do that. And then this year, they asked me. So basically the mentorship scheme is you get a mentor from industry and you get given like a student, which is amazing, a great thing for university students. They pretty much have them for the full year. You can ask them questions, they can work with, like, they do whatever, just utilize your mentor, right? So now I'm a mentor, not a mentee, which is exciting. But the mentee that I have, actually, I already know because she's the old girl that's doing some stuff for the podcast for me, which is awesome. So like, I'm hoping to nurture that little relationship and like give her a platform to put her work on, and that's what it's about: give to receive, all that sort of stuff. So I'm really excited. I'm nervous about it. I'm excited about it though, because I can have a lot of self-doubt about my knowledge and my skills and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, can I actually rise to the occasion? But I think I can.
Absolutely fucking can. I was literally just thinking there, I was like, all those design students are going to be sitting there thinking, oh, please do I get Chloe. Please get Chloe.
Imagine.
No, you're a man. I wouldn't be surprised if they're watching your podcast and that, and they know what you're like, they know the passion, like they know where you've got to. It's like all those things align with like, oh, please just assign me Chloe, please. Just
I know, it's so funny. A fair few amount of them came up to me. It was like last night, and I was like, what? I was like, I don't even know you. Like, you listen to the podcast. I was like, he's a chat freelancer. I was like, oh my god. It was just, I find it really embarrassing. Actually, I can't take compliments, John. I can't do it.
I was funny enough going to say to the camera here, like, watch how Chloe plays off this compliment, because I know what you're like.
I don't like it. I don't like it, but I need to not do that and just be like, thank you very much, I appreciate that. Thank you, John. That was lovely. Thanks.
You're very welcome. So what's next then for Chloe in the chatty freelancer?
Continuing a journey of learning, and I see the podcast being the gateway for freelancing in the freelancing world for anyone who wants to learn about it. Right. And I need to work towards that to build that sort of mammoth identity that I'm working towards of honesty and authenticity and inclusivity. So yeah, just really concentrating on that, working with the clients I have, and just continuing what I'm doing with them, and yeah, just enjoying the last 3 months of the year and getting my shit together. No, it's not together. It is together. But I'm really excited to take time for my business. Actually, the girl actually I interviewed yesterday said that she was like, I was advised that, you know, you should be spending 50% of your week on your business as a freelancer entrepreneur. And I was like, I do not spend 50% on my business a week. So yeah, I want to strive towards just concentrating more on what I'm building, and continuing to be. I mean, what I'm doing is working. I just need to elevate it. I don't need to change it. I just need to elevate it, add to it. So a lot of planning for the next few months actually, which is exciting.
I guess that's why we have a lot in YNL that's all working on the business, actually giving you the opportunity to do so, because it's something that like you can get so just like stuck in the business, like you can't help but like, just like you said earlier on, like can't see the woods for the trees.
That is the trees, isn't it?
That is the saying, yeah.
I don't know why it sounds funny.
How did it roll off the tongue there? I was like, woods for the trees. Yeah, that's fine.
We'll Google it later. I'll be like, oh, fuck that up.
I think, yeah, like when you want to, because I know like we spoke about it very often. It was like when you were a client, like and still are a client, there's been a lot of times where we've reflected on clients within YNL that very much are like want to hit millions, want to like do like mad shit. That's never ever been the case for yourself.
No.
And it's probably important to like highlight, because I think people can't help but see all of that all the time. And it's like my goals are very much like that. I want to scale to 7, 8, 9 figures. And it's a pretty like big why for me in terms of like that stuff with Jack, for example. Want to bring Jack on full time, get him out of his job that he doesn't enjoy, like all of those things that stack up. That's like, I fucking want to make this happen. I'll work all round the clock to make it happen. Whereas we've had so many conversations where it's like there's so many things that you want to do, but all of them are directly linked to just pure passion and wanting to help. Yes. And the mad thing is, the paradox is you'll get plenty of money by doing that anyways.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's what I was saying, you have to give to be able to get back. Yeah. Essentially, like that's, yeah, kind of what I'm doing naturally, but also I'm doing it purposefully as well. Like it's not, like I sometimes forget that that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing my thing. Like I said this, I used this visual in my own podcast. I was like, right now, it's like I'm driving down a highway in like this, I don't know, the desert, Nevada or something, I don't fucking know. Somewhere cool as fuck. Like, and I'm driving down a highway, I'm in a really fucking cool car. I'm really looking really confident, and I'm just kind of like stopping to different places, doing my thing, helping people out, and then getting back in my car, and I'm still able to drive because I'm doing that thing. I'm able to, whatever it is, if it's working with clients or it's giving people a platform on the podcast, as long as I give value, and I'm not, I'll say like I don't like chasing. I don't have any financial goals.
Yeah.
I don't have any financial goals. I just want to be able to work happily, earn comfortably, and do good. And I'm happy with that. If I can put food on my table, a roof over my head, and I can go on holidays, enjoy myself, absolutely fantastic. I don't care. I don't want to be earning hundreds and hundreds of money. Like that's just never ever been my sort of goal ever. But as you say, by not concentrating on that, I've been able to find really good retainer work. I've been able to set my rates to what I want to set them, the confidence to set them that way. Like, you know, I probably should increase my pricing, to be quite honest, but like, it is what it is, and I'll get to that point eventually. But you know, I'm quite happy right now. So that's the main thing.
Where do you think don't I say like probably the best way, like the unwillingness to want to make a lot of money? Like, where do you think that stems from?
Probably money mindset as I was younger, and you know, just I guess just how I grew up. Yeah, just around money. It was scarce. Like it was never like, you know, it was never just like abundance. It was very much like, you know, we need to worry about money. But I think that used to be why, was because I did find money quite intimidating, and talking about it, I didn't really like it. But now it's more that my values have just changed. Yeah. And I've understood what I actually value in life. It's not money. Yeah. It's just not. It's been able to go to football on a Saturday with my boyfriend and not have to worry about buying a pie at the game. Because I can get a pie at the game. I can afford to get a pie at the game. I can afford to get in the gate. So it's like, it has switched for me in terms of where it's, like, it did stem from, my money worries as I was growing up, and like what I was exposed to and things like that. Like my mum was single mum for a bit, and it's like, you know, benefits, and you know, it was never like, you know, had to just really be always thinking about how much we were spending. But then I've sort of shifted from, okay, you know, money. Do you know what someone said to me? That money is a tool that fuels us. It's not the be all and end all. It's just something that can help us get to where we want to go.
I think that's the thing with money, whereas like when you don't have it, it feels like the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like it feels like the whole, like when I actually use this analogy with a client, it's like you have like a scarcity switch that's like, so you lose a client, or a bill comes out, or like your car needs fixed or some sort of shit, and it happens, and then you look at your bank and you're like, switch comes on, it's like, fuck. Like,
instant, can I afford this?
Yeah. And it's like that, it's mad though, because see, when you operate out with that capacity and you're not comfortable, but you're driving towards something, you're doing all the shit that you know is you're in the right vehicle, you know you're driving towards something that's going to deliver an immense amount of wealth. Like as you're driving towards it, see when you get out of that little scarcity mode and you're driving towards something, you're able to attack it with so much clarity and you're able to like see the stress, like financial stress of like money, it very much can weigh you the fuck down. And it's almost like you've got like a harness on you, or like a like reins, like somebody's holding you back. And see when you fucking cut that line and you're like, you know what, the line's fucking cut, we've got a safety net that covers us for fucking 6 months, we can go fucking balls to walls with this shit and do shit that we fucking love as well on top of it. I think when that line is drawn, you actually start to see what you're like truly capable of. Because see, when you have those restraints, man, it's like you're operating at like fucking. And I know some people will say on your back's against the wall, you see your true self. I agree with that too. Like I'm very much like someone that thrives in that as well. But when I really reflect on it, it's like having that, like, you've crossed that line, you're able to just go fucking balls to the wall with it, knowing that if little things come up with your car, or you want to take someone out for dinner, or you want to get somebody a gift, you know that it has zero impact on your bank.
Yes.
And you can just fucking do it anyways.
Yeah, and it is the strangest feeling when you can do that.
Yeah.
Remember when I said to you when I came back to my YNL, I was like, I'm going to pay you 3 months up front. And what world was I able to do that like a year ago or 2 years ago? Like I would have been stressed out my nut, like thinking about, oh my God, I need to pay for this, and this. And I'm like, oh man, I'm actually in a really good position where I can also save money. Like I'm not going to say I'm spending willy-nilly, blah, blah, blah. But like I'm still really like, you know, switched on when it comes to, you know, what I've got and what I haven't got and what the realities are. Like I can't, you know, I couldn't just go to Dubai tomorrow. Yeah. Like I want to, but like they still need to save. And like I've only started to be able to solo travel this year because I put myself in a position where I am financially better, and you know I'm able to comfortably pay for travel on my own, which is really hard, by the way. Paying for hotels when you're on your own, like rent's doubled. But that's came from just right from the beginning, pushing myself, passionate, giving, and, you know, showing my value as a designer and how I can actually, you know, and like I remember when I first got in contact with Social Shifters, when asking me like what my rate was, and I was scared to tell them what my rate was now because it was totally different to when I first finished uni, and they were like, that's fine, we know the value you can bring to our brand, we know that you can deliver, and we are happy to invest that money into you. And I was like, oh my God. So it doesn't happen overnight, guys. You need to really work towards that sort of financial comfortability, and it's a long bloody road to get in there, to be quite honest.
Have you got any advice? You knew that was coming.
Ask for that.
Don't look at Johnny, mate. Just ask for that.
Listen to people when they tell you your rates are too low. If somebody or multiple people are telling you your rates are too low, it's quite likely true. You probably are charging too low. Focus more on the value that you're giving to people and not so much on day rates. Retainer clients, definitely think about day rates, but if like one-off projects or whatever, branding projects, think about the value you're giving to people, and then come up and try and communicate that as well. Obviously, don't just say this is the price of this. That's it. Tell them why that's the price. And like, as I said before, don't go if you're just starting out, don't expect to be earning lots of money. I was never like that.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate. I was at uni, so I was able to claim student loans, so that was also helping me, like, fund me financially. But don't expect to be earning hundreds of money when you just go start doing design or freelance or whatever. But, you know, look at what's out there, what other people are charging, and kind of come up with your own. Don't focus too much on what everyone else is doing in terms of rates. Like, what's the value you can bring, what's the skill level that you have, and how can you help people bring their ideas to life. And also, something that's really helped me, obviously a big thing is like finding clients that can afford it.
Yeah.
Like, it can be really difficult to do that. So put yourself into pools of people that need designers. I feel like entrepreneurial spaces are fucking brilliant to be in for a designer, because, you know, businesses are usually looking for design quite often. So rather than, like, it's really great to be in freelance communities. Absolutely, please do that, because you can get work from other freelancers. If they can't do it, pass it on, whatever. But try and position yourself in a space where people need designers and can afford to hire designers as well. And also, like, say you're pricing with, like, conviction, and don't, like, always go higher. I've learned that. I never used to do this, but now I do. Like, go higher. Much easier to come down than it is to go up. So that's something that I do now, is just like, it is daunting at first. You're gonna, I'm going to propose this price. Oh my fucking god! Oh my god! Is this? And usually it's, you know, it's warranted.
Yeah.
And if they come back to you and say, "Oh, we can't really afford that right now. How about this price?" Great.
Yeah.
That's fine as well.
It's something that, like, what I was thinking about when it comes to pricing, a lot of it is the inability to communicate your value, potentially in a sales environment, or just genuine, like, actual communication, where it's like, people don't, it's actually not anything to do with the delivery or value of your service that you're delivering. It's actually just being able to fucking communicate it to someone to help them see what you see.
Absolutely. Like, remember when I quoted you right out of uni? Do you remember that? For, like, what was it for? It was,
we were going to build a community hub or something
something
like that.
And I quoted you, and you asked me, like, what are you doing and all that, and I couldn't communicate it. I could not communicate it whatsoever, and that, like, it just shows, like, it's so important to say exactly what it is you're gonna do.
And I think, like, the main thing probably to highlight with that is, like, it can all be worked on. Like, they're all skills, like, that you can be resourceful enough to, like, okay, I didn't communicate that properly. Maybe I should do a sales training, or maybe I should reach out to a sales expert and try and get maybe 30 minutes of our time, or ask some questions, or go on fucking YouTube and check out, like, Hermose's shit on sales. And, like, there's so many ways that I think a lot of people don't realise that it's, like, they think it's maybe a pricing issue, or they maybe think it's a lead gen issue, when in fact it's, you just don't have enough confidence, or you've not done enough when it comes to sales to truly understand, like, how to communicate what it is that you provide.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is, I remember you talking about it, it just sounds like there's so many components to it, but it comes down to trial and error. Yeah. Just try it out. That's the only way you're going to learn, is experiencing it.
Because the flip side of it as well, so many clients will come and they'll be like, I've got a sales issue, when they don't actually have a sales issue. They have a lead gen issue, where it's like, any of the programs I went through, even Alex Becker's program, it was like, you should aim for like a 20 to like 30% close rate. And I was like, so for every 10 sales calls I have, I should only convert like 2 or 3 of them. Like, the thought of that was like, what? Like, what the fuck? Like, that does not sound right. And it's, when that was like brought to me, it was like, shit, man, we don't actually have, our close rate's fucking amazing. It's not actually anything to do with sales. It's actually the lead gen. Like, if we generated more leads, we would sign more clients. So it's like, how do we do that? Okay, cool. Paid ads, fucking personal branding, like, content, all the good shit.
And it falls down to, and it also includes just being a freelancer. You need to practice all of those things. Like, you're selling yourself. But you're selling your services, selling what you're doing, and you need to be able to, you need to understand it as well, first of all, before you start communicating it to people. Like, that was one of the first things I did when I came out of uni, was like a sort of personal brand strategy. And like, what were the buzzwords? What were the things that I wanted to help people with? That was like, right, okay, I want to help people bring ideas to life through digital design. How do I do that? Purposefully, reliably, and also in a really energetic way.
Yeah.
Perfect. I know who I want to do, what I want to do, and who I want to be. And I need to project that, and I will hopefully get people like that coming to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Makes complete sense. We've covered so much good shit, Chloe, honestly. It's been an amazing episode, I think, like from an aspect of actionable value and things that we've touched on that I know a lot of people will be resonating heavily with.
Good, I hope so.
So thank you also for coming along, giving so much incredible advice, which has been incredible. Where can people find you? We've already touched on what's next for Chloe, so we know we've got the podcast.
Yeah.
Podcast is banging.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so yeah, just the Chatty Freelancer on Instagram and Chloe Marie Doyle on LinkedIn. It's probably the two primary places that I do post. But yeah, you can get the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Listen to it if you want to. I talk about freelancing a lot. I talk about the nitty gritty of freelancing, things that people don't talk about. So yeah, if you want to just check it out.
Love it, man. Thank you so much, Chloe, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, if you want a part 2, guys, so the first female guest.
Hey! Hopefully not the last, John.
Definitely not. But can I say I just attract guys?
You do. It's fine.
Yeah. No, honestly, Chloe, thank you so much for coming on. If you're on Spotify, guys, leave a little rating. You know, share it on your socials if you feel like you found something truly valuable. As Hormozy would say, pass it on to someone else that could also deliver the same value to them. If you're watching on YouTube as well, guys, leave a little like, let us know what your favourite part was. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for coming on, Chloe.
Thank you.